Today I would like to show you 10 items I always carry with me whenever I'm flying my drone. It doesn't matter if I'm using a shoulder bag or taking my drone in my backpack, I always make sure to pack these items because they always manage to save me in a pinch. And I've managed to organize them into a single little pouch. So this little bag here, I can just fire into my backpack or pop into my shoulder bag, and it contains all the items you would ever need to get you out of any sticky situation you will ever encounter when flying a drone. So let's take a look at the items and jump right in. Now just before we take a look at the items, if you're new around here, let me introduce myself. My name's Matthew and I create videos helping you get the most from your drone. So if you would like tips and tricks, the best settings and tutorials to help you get the most cinematic videos and best images from your drone, then I recommend you subscribe by clicking that button down there and turning on the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Now I keep all the items inside this little pocket organizer, and all the links to all the products you will see in today's video are down below in the description. So if you want to pick any of them up or read more about them, all you have to do is head down to them links down below. Now the reason I keep all the items apart from one, which I'll get to at the end of this video, inside this little pocket organizer, is because if you had to pack all of the items individually every time you went out flying, chances are you would forget one, or you just might get bored of having to pack all that stuff into your bag every time. And then when you actually need one of the items, you won't have packed it. So by putting them all neatly inside this little pocket organizer, it means every time I head out flying, I just need to lift one bag and put it into my backpack or into my shoulder bag. Now this little pocket organizer is great because if I open it up, you can see there are loops, there are pockets, and there are dividers where you can put and separate all the individual items and have them all neatly inside this little bag. So the first item I recommend is a Phillips screwdriver and spare propellers. Now spare propellers might be fairly obvious. If you clip a branch and slightly damage or break a propeller whenever you're out on location, you will want to change that propeller. Or if you're landing it in a grassy area and over time the leading edge of the propeller is starting to get jagged or worn, then you might want to change your propellers out. And just having spare propellers with you at all times means that you can change the propellers out on location, and if you traveled a large distance to somewhere to film a point of interest, it means you won't have to head all the way home to get them propellers if they're always in your bag. Now the reason I recommend picking up an additional screwdriver is because if you've ever tried to change the propellers on a drone such as the DJI Mini 3 Pro, DJI Mini 3 or DJI Mini 2 using the little screwdriver supplied with the drone, you might notice a couple of things. Firstly, the screwdriver supplied with the drone is very small, and this makes it hard to get a good grip. I found with the screwdriver supplied with the drone, you need to push down firmly to be able to remove that screw. And because this little screwdriver is so small, that can be quite fiddly to do. I found that a Phillips head 000 screwdriver just fits that little bit better. Also, the screws holding the props in place are slightly soft. You can very easily strip that screw when you're trying to change the propeller, especially if you're out on location and it's a cold day. You could just strip the head off that screw if you're not careful. And then it's going to be much more difficult to remove that propeller. If you're in that situation, what you might have to do is get a pair of pliers to turn that screw, and in the process you're going to completely destroy the propeller you're removing. So I recommend you pick up and carry with you at all times a better screwdriver. Now, the screwdriver that you will want that fits the head of the screws perfectly on the Mini 2, Mini 3 and Mini 3 Pro is a Phillips head 000 screwdriver. And this one, which I picked up, again, all the links are in the description down below, is much larger, so you can get a much better grip on it, and it's much more ergonomic to use, meaning you're less likely to strip that little screw if you're changing it. And just a top tip before I get on to the next item, if you are changing that screw, remember to try to put the screwdriver directly down into the screw head. Don't put it at an angle, because if you have it at an angle, you're again more likely going to strip that screw. So put it straight down into the screw before you start turning. Now the next items I always pack are some Zeiss wipes. Now these Zeiss wipes are disposable wipes that come pre-moistened, so they're really great for removing things like fingerprints off your controller screen, and that's what I primarily use them for. On a warm summer's day where it's quite hot, if you're making lots of adjustments on your controller screen or on your phone if you're using the DJI RCM1, you might find you get lots of fingerprints on that screen, and then the sun will start to cause lots of glare on it, making it hard to see properly. I just open one of these up, give my controller screen a wipe, and it leaves it super clean. And because I have a screen protector on my controller, I have no issues with using these. The next thing I like to carry is a spare micro SD card. Now, how many of you have went out on location, put your drone in the air, went to hit record and realized, I forgot to put a micro SD card in it. Or maybe you were planning on doing some screen recordings with the DJI RC controller and you put your micro SD card into your drone, but you forgot to put one into your controller. It's happened to me more than once. And so it's always really handy to have a spare micro SD card in the organizer whenever you're out flying your drone. So if you do forget to bring a micro SD card for your drone or controller, you have a spare one you can use. Or if for whatever reason your micro SD card gets corrupted, or you just have had an awesome day out flying your drone, recorded a lot of videos, taken a lot of photos, and your micro SD card is full, but you would actually like to continue recording, continue taking photos, well, having a spare micro SD card in your organizer, in your camera bag, will save you in all them scenarios. Now, before we take a look at the next item, I just want to say a big thanks to Wirestock, who helps make these videos possible. Now, if you have ever considered trying to make a little bit of side income with your drone, then you can do that by selling the videos and images you capture as stock footage. But this can be time consuming because you have to upload all them clips and images to multiple stock agency websites. Well, this is where Wirestock comes in. Wirestock is a service which allows you to upload them images and videos to one location, and then they distribute it to all the major stock marketplaces. And instead of having to go through and fill out all the titles and descriptions for each piece of stock, Wirestock has a tool called Easy Submission. And when you upload your media to their service, they will go through and add all the metadata for you. This saves you time so that you can be out there capturing more with your drone. They also have a super user-friendly interface where you can track all the downloads and sales for each piece of stock and see your earnings. Wirestock also automatically creates a portfolio page for you, and you can use this to sell your stock directly to potential buyers by sending them the link. So if you would like trying to make a little bit of side income with your drone, then why not sign up to Wirestock today using the link down below, where you can have a go at selling your images and videos as stock. The next thing I like to carry is a microfiber cleaning cloth. Now, this is a lens safe microfiber cleaning cloth, and I keep this one specifically for the drone's camera lens. I have another microfiber, which I'll go over later in the video, that I use for the entire drone, but this one I keep reserved for only the camera lens, because I don't want to end up in a scenario where I was maybe using a microfiber to clean large bits of dirt off the drone and then taking that microfiber and cleaning the camera lens with it as well, because a stone that you maybe cleaned off your drone from the underneath if you were landing in a stony area, or grit or sand if you were cleaning that off the underneath of your drone, can embed itself in the microfiber, and then if you use that to clean your camera's lens, you could be putting scratches all over it with that grit in the microfiber. So this one I keep reserved only for the camera lens, and I try to keep it in this little plastic sachet that it came in whenever it's not in use, so again it stays contaminant free, to try and keep my camera lens off the drone in perfect condition. So if the camera lens of the drone does get dirty and I want to clean it, I can just simply take this out of the sachet, use it to clean the camera lens, and then the minute I'm done using it, I put it back into this sachet so the microfiber itself won't become contaminated. If there was a little bit of condensation on the camera lens from flying it on a cold day or flying it through clouds on a cold day, and the camera lens itself has got some condensation on it, I will use this microfiber to clean it off. The next item I like to carry is a spare set of ND filters for whatever drone I'm currently flying. The reason for this is it's the one thing I always forget to pack. I might be looking out at a nice sunny day, getting excited about going out and recording lots of videos, but I always just forget to pack ND filters. So I find if I just keep them in the organizer that I throw into my camera bag or throw into my backpack whenever I'm heading out flying, then I will always have a set of ND filters on me. Now, the ones I carry are the all-day 6-pack from Freewell for the DJI Mini 3 Pro, and this just covers me for nearly every scenario that I will encounter when I'm out flying. And if I want motion blur, I want to get that shutter speed down, then these ND filters will cover me. Now, the next thing I always carry with me is spare operator ID labels. In the UK, it is a requirement to label your drone with your operator ID, which is a form of identification. And the reason I carry spare ones of these is sometimes if you're putting your drone into and out of your camera bag, it can catch the label and the label can come off. Or maybe just as you're cleaning your drone, the microfiber snags the label and takes it off. So I make these with a really useful little label printer. It's called a Dymo label printer. You can simply type in whatever you want on a label, hit a button, it will print the label out, and then you can press another button and it will cut the label for you as well. you can adjust the sizing of the labels. So I print off a couple of different sizes to carry with me at all times. I use the larger ones for larger drones, such as the DJI Mavic 3 or Mavic 3 Classic, and I use the smaller ones for smaller drones, such as the DJI Mini 3 Pro. And these are self-adhesive, so you simply peel off the back of the labels and then you can stick the label wherever you want. And there's a plastic finish to these labels as well, which is great because it means they are quite resistant. So if your drone is getting slightly damp and you're cleaning it off every now and then, it won't ruin the label. Now, I actually use the label printer for a range of different things as well. I also label all my ND filters so I can see very quickly, looking at the filter case, which drone they are for. So you can see I've labeled these ones DJI Mini 3 Pro. So having a label printer is super useful for a range of things, but also carrying spare operator ID labels if you're flying in the UK is also super useful. So as mentioned, I keep an additional microfiber in the little organizer. And this is a much larger microfiber that is used for cleaning the drone in general. So again, if I've been flying my drone in the snow, for example, and it got slightly wet in the air, I'll use this microfiber to clean it very quickly. Again, if I was flying it somewhere where it got dirt on it, it got large bits of dirt on it, maybe the propeller spun up some dirt where it was landing and that went over the drone itself, I will use this microfiber for that. So this is just a more generic microfiber for cleaning the drone itself, making sure that it's not damp whenever I put it back into my camera bag, so there's no condensation or moisture inside the camera bag that could work its way inside the drone, which you do not want. I will use this for that. Now, I also carry an additional filter in my organizer at all times whenever I'm heading out flying, and that is this UV filter from Firmware. Now, the primary reason I carry this is because it's a clear piece of glass. It doesn't alter the image in any way, but it adds an additional layer of protection in front of your camera's lens. When you're changing ND filters on your drone, it can be quite fiddly, and that little cap, that original stock cap on the drone such as the DJI Mini 3 Pro, is very small. And if you're in an area where there's quite dense ground and you're changing it and you drop that cap, there can be scenarios where you might never find it again. It just drops into the grass and that's it. You could spend hours trying to find it and you might just never see it again. But if you want to continue flying, you still want to have some protection in front of your camera's lens. So this is where this comes in really handy. Because it doesn't alter the image in any way, you can just screw that on and continue flying. The next thing I like to carry with me at all times is a USB to USB-C cable and a USB-C to USB-C cable. Maybe you're traveling between lots of locations in a friend's car and your drone batteries have got low and you'd like to charge your drone when you're traveling between them locations, but you haven't brought a cable to do so. Well, having these USB to USB-C and USB-C to USB-C cables with you at all times means in most cars you will be able to plug in your drone and charge that battery. Also, if you're in a situation where you're maybe using a friend's laptop and you want to quickly preview some images and they don't have a card reader available, well, these cables can plug into your drone, and with the memory card in your drone, you can transfer them images and videos from that drone onto that laptop or computer to preview them. There's just so many scenarios where these cables could save you in a pinch, so it's always super useful to carry them in your camera bag. Now, the last item I carry, and this one doesn't fit into the little organizer, is a landing pad, but it comes with its own little carrying case. Now, this landing pad is from PGY Tech and it folds up nice and small so you can fit it in basically any camera bag, and you can fold it out to get a decent sized landing pad. It's got a blue side and an orange side. I use the orange side most because it's the most noticeable from the air. Now, this has a water resistant finish, and the primary reason I use this and carry this is because if I'm flying in a location where I don't want to put the drone directly down on the ground to take it off or land it, then this landing pad comes in super useful. So if I'm flying in the snow, I don't want to put the drone down on that snowy ground where there's moisture, so I can put this down on that snow, not worry because it's got a water resistant finish, and then I can take off and land the drone from it. Same if you're flying somewhere where there's sand, somewhere where there's wet grass, or even if there's tall grass, you can use this to push the grass down, and then again you have a solid surface to take off and land your drone. Now, this landing pad also comes with pegs, which again fit inside its carrying case, so you can peg it down if it's a windy day so you know it's not going to go anywhere. This will also stop your drone kicking up sand or gravel whenever you're taking it off or landing it, because you're putting a physical barrier between the drone and that sand and gravel. So super useful to carry with you at all times. So there you have it, 10 items that could save you in a pinch and that you should always carry, and I always carry with me in my drone bag whenever I'm out flying. Now, if you want to take a look at any of these products in more detail, again, there are product links in the description down below. And if you'd like this video and you've learned something new, please let me know by giving me the thumbs up and clicking that like button down below. And if you love all things drones and want to know how to get more cinematic videos and better images with your drone, then I recommend you check out my channel where I have a ton of other content to help you level up your drone game. If you would like to see my upcoming videos, please remember to subscribe and make sure that notification bell's on so that you will get notified whenever they are released. And if you want to stick around and see a few more videos now, here are a few I personally recommend. I'll not keep you back any further. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you over there.